Hello and welcome everybody to the Mountain Magic series here at Mythic Games in Littleton, Colorado. My name is Songkook and I am joined here by the expert of Lightning Bolt. It is Rob.
I do like Lightning Bolt. I've studied Lightning Bolt. There was an entire class in it in college. I got like a C. So.
Okay, that's that makes you an expert, I think.
I think
absolutely.
If I passed, right?
Mm-hmm.
I took the class. Yeah.
Cool. Alrighty, so we've got the final round of the Swiss here. Max Garman on Cloud Post and Nolan Zoller on 4-color Beanstalk. How do you figure this matchup goes?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I do feel like Cloud Post generally, they say, like, it preys on this kind of deck. However, the Beanstalk deck has just a ton of removal, and it can get into a position where it's just outvaluing Cloud Post to such a degree that even though the Cloud Post is casting these huge creatures, the answers that Nolan has available to him are very potent as well. So we could see something, as huge as I think I see an Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger, Emrakul, the Aeon's Torn in Max's deck and stuff like that. But man, here we go as we see Max putting down.
Is that a Cloud Post?
I believe that is a cloud.
Yeah, is it an FNM Cloud Post?
I think it might be an FNM Cloud Post. Yeah. What's interesting too is that Max actually has, which makes our job much easier, for his Vesuvas and Thespian stages and things of that nature, he actually has printed out these kind of like inserts for the card that show what the card is copied.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we don't have to do a lot of guessing work, as long as we can determine that is definitively a Cloud Post. But regardless, on the other side of the table, we see Nolan here fetching out a Volcanic Island here and playing a Brainstorm. We do see that he has access to something like Yorion. So again, really trying to get that card advantage. Looking at his hand, man, a lot of sweet cards there. Definitely some lands. I see 4th Aerolingos and a late, what is this?
Yeah.
So many different cards.
Yeah, is that like Teferi?
Yeah, blue cards, other things. There is a Teferi in there.
Yeah, I mean, it could be anything. It's 4 colors.
Yeah, that's very true. Having Leyline Binding access to that as well, seeing him play the Bayou and passing back. No shuffle, so he has to live with those cards. And interestingly...
this was the first spell of Max's. Yeah. I was like, wait, isn't this like turn 3?
Right.
Yep, it is turn 3. It's just still the first... Oh my god, another Cloud Post?
Yeah. He's going up here. He is going to have access to...
9 mana?
9 mana.
Assuming he doesn't play the land?
Yeah. And we see Nolan hitting his land drops himself and making a little less mana on the other side of things, cycling that Leyline Binding, that Lorien Revealed rather, to get this Tundra.
So, Nolan has, I don't think he has any way of interacting with lands, right, in his deck?
Looking at his list here, we see... Yeah, not a lot here. If anything, is Life from the Loam to interact. Yeah, he has 1 Wasteland and Life from the Loam, so he can go that route. However, I don't think that'll be enough, especially in this scenario, facing what is potentially 9 mana on the other side of the table.
So, I mean, is this 4th Aerolingos for 1? Yeah, I mean,
You got to do what you got to do.
I think, Nolan probably needs just like a good mix of like... Maybe Minxenbu? That's probably his fastest clock?
Yeah, Minxenbu can definitely do it. He also has access to something like Uro, but that is glacially slow.
Or just like the Comet tick up a million times?
Exactly. Yeah, I'll get you eventually, I swear. But I do like this play. Just go ahead, get the Monarchy. Just, we need to draw cards.
Yeah, something needs to... Oh, God. How much mana is that? That's 4 times 3, 12, 13?
I believe it's 13.
Oh.
Yeah. He can play some very big things.
Casting spells.
Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger of the serial art. Take away 2 lands.
This might be a fast match.
Yeah. Pretty rough, not going to lie. I mean, we did see something like Leyline Binding in Nolan's hand, but...
a little far from casting it now, unfortunately.
Indeed.
Is that a Pithy Needle? Most likely on Wasteland?
Yeah, I'd assume, but I don't know that it matters too much.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Especially with the basic planes.
Boom shakalaka. All right.
Up the Beanstalk. Here we go. All right, gets a Force of Will. So
a timely Force of Will.
Yeah. Can potentially interact with the next thing.
Boom, Monarch.
Yeah.
Ooh, this attack is gonna end the game, I think.
Discards Minxenbu to hand size. Yeah, here we go.
Not casting that with a Bayou and a Plains.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. Okay, mill 20. And the needle apparently is naming Comet Stellar Pup.
Oh, interesting.
So,
I mean, yeah, Max. If I were Max, I would assume this 4-color Beanstalk deck is not playing Wasteland. So
sure.
yeah.
And even if it is, he's so far ahead at this point.
Yeah, I don't think it really matters.
Yeah, exiling 20 cards that are all probably stupid good, but nothing in this, in this point. And Max just, I'm sure Nolan presenting saying, hey, this is what I have, and Max going, yeah, sure, whatever. All right.
Yeah, it's funny. Nolan also is really good at identifying what his bad matchups are, but he's really bad at dodging them. It's funny because we went up to the RCQ, or we went down to the RCQ in the Springs yesterday, and he was like, okay, I don't want to play against Titan, and it was another deck. It's just like first round Titan, the second round the other deck. And I was like, okay, yeah, really cool.
Yeah. Drop. Have an hour drive.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So, again, Nolan very good at identifying the bad matchups.
Sure. On Max's side, we do see him deploy this Dark Depths here and start taking the ice counters off, and he actually just has so much mana that he realistically could just take all the counters off that way. Pretty gross. Okay, the counterplay, the leyline binding, the drawing the card. All right, Nolan not out of this game yet. Did take that disgusting hit from Ulamog, destroying those two lands. Yeah. He did chump, so he still is healthy. But here's another Vesuva.
See what he's got here.
I mean, it's just got to be another Cloud Post, right?
Dude, what if you wanted to gain 5 life for no reason?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. We were talking about putting the Sky Sovereign flag, console flagship on the battlefield in lines earlier today. So, we're really cooking up some good stuff here.
We really are, yeah.
So, approximately 1,000 mana.
Okay. But what's really cool is I think Nolan's back in this game, especially if Max had nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And looking at Max's hand, I didn't really look like there was much action here.
Yeah.
So brainstorm, let's see what we can find.
Nolan is...
There's the Comet Stellar Pup, right back to the top of the library. We're good. We're good on that one.
Yeah, that pithing needle.
Mm-hmm.
Man, if only he had that Ming-Sin-Bu. Oh, but he doesn't have a red source, I suppose. Oh, I guess Delighted Halfling.
Yeah, Delighted Halfling.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ming-Sin-Bu is legendary.
Well, I guess that's probably another red source.
Yeah. Makes sense to fill out the lands, especially for binding purposes.
All right, so Nolan's he needs action here that isn't Comet.
Right.
Let's see. What are we digging for? I mean, it's Ming-Sin-Bu, right?
Yeah, it's got to be Ming-Sin-Bu. Also another Fourth Air Lingus or something.
Yep.
Pondering here. Let's see what he's got. And just looking at Max's hand, I think I saw an Elvisher Cleaner, no green mana.
Right. And another green card? Is that what it is?
I think it might be a Glimmer Post and something else.
Yeah, Glimmer Post, and is that another Once Upon a Time? It kind of looks like a Woodfall Primus, I'm not going to lie. But it's not a Woodfall Primus. It cannot be, yeah.
Does he have that?
Yeah.
Okay. Nolan drawing many cards and looking at the mana.
Maybe it's a Green Sun Zenith.
No green mana. Interesting.
This Dark Depths is getting scary.
Or maybe is that a Terra Sunder? Is that... Either way, regardless.
Does Cloud Post, can it produce black?
In his list, unsure. He has one
Jukabog.
Yeah.
Boom, yeah.
Okay. Well, Nolan is on the 28-turn clock, putting out another Beanstalk.
Beans.
He's got to draw a threat at some point. And a Solitude.
That counts.
Yeah. Very interesting here. And this is what we were kind of talking about before, where we were wondering who is going to be in the better seat for this matchup. Mm-hmm. And I think generally, again, Cloud Post has all the tools that it needs to absolutely destroy these blue-based control decks.
Yep.
However, if Max is just drawing one card a turn and no one can answer this stuff, he's in a good position. And this Merit Lage just does not matter.
Oh, this Merit Lage is probably going to be Solitude, right?
Yeah.
And
he has access to Swords of Plowshares, too.
Yeah. Max is going to be at 48. And this Delighted Halfling is going to have to put in some overtime.
Yeah. That's a good point. It really is just going to have to be Ming-Sin-Bu at some point.
I think so. I mean, that's the only, real clock. And, I don't know if you can afford to leyline binding a Pithing Needle.
Yeah, that's a really good point too.
Yeah, because I mean, you probably like need that for like stuff like that,
Sure.
like a giant 2020. Yeah.
And I do like the ley line binding here onto Merit Lage because you're not putting anything underneath it. And if there is something that Max could interact with and get back, even like again, getting back his Ulamog would be pretty devastating.
Yeah, but I mean, so what's really cool about Nolan's deck is he's got that Yorion. So putting that ley line binding on the token is awesome.
So
Yeah.
true. Oh man,
fourth
Airling goes.
boom, boom, boom.
All right,
Oh my god, Nolan it looks pretty good for Nolan right now. I mean, he's still the Monarch.
Yeah, and he didn't give his opponent 20 life. So
Yeah, I mean, again, very good.
yeah, it's like Nolan knows that he has to win this game.
God, Nolan, I've known Nolan for a while now. He's actually, we're in a playtest group and he's part of it. My god, this guy's incredible.
Yeah, everything I hear about what he does magic-wise, and I remember playing against him in a team trios, and I was like, I was so certain to win, and he just drew like the 4-outer, and I was like,
Yeah.
well, I've ended my Magic career, so this is great. I'm never playing Modern again. As we see 5 2/2s coming into the end zone here.
Yeah, because that's 10. Yeah. This is this 3-turn log.
He will kill him. And Max, again, really needs that green source.
What the heck?
Elvish Spirit Guide. Okay.
Crop rot.
Okay. So what's the play here? Force of Will. Does not matter. Okay. Yeah, your opponent has seen approximately 7,000 cards.
Gosh. Man, Nolan is... Ooh, this... I mean, like, there was an Ulamog cast.
Right.
And Nolan was on 2 lands.
Right.
And took a hit from Ulamog.
Yeah, well, I think he chumped it, but regardless,
Yeah.
put Force Will on the top of the deck. Yeah, we're fine.
Okay.
And I just see that Swords of Plowshares in hand.
Yeah.
Again,
I mean, the Force Will is going to be back in his hand because he's a Monarch. This is pretty sweet. Oh, pending. Okay.
so he can just play the
Comet?
And I believe he had it in hand.
Oh, baby. Oh, baby. Comet.
There
Although,
it is.
like, Nolan, another thing about Nolan is he's really good at testing cards online, and then it just does not happen in paper. Like, like Gemstone Caverns, he's always got it on the draw online, and he didn't have it a single time in like, the RCQ that we played at. And he has a 3rd in the board, too.
Oh,
He's 2 in the 3rd copy in the board, and he just never hit a Gemstone Cavern on the draw.
Okay. Well, he's in the driver's seat of this game. In a position where I thought, Max was just a shoo-in to win.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay, the One Ring. But yeah, Force of Will.
Force, and then is...
Draw 2 cards.
Have another back... No, this is it!
That's it. That's the game.
Oh my gosh! Nolan...
goes down to, what was it, 1 land? Or, yeah, he was on...
Yeah, 1 or... I can't remember.
I think he had 3 lands, got 2 of them destroyed. But he just drew so many cards. He answered that Ulamog and just got there through the sheer power of... And a lot of that is credit to Up the Beanstalk.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Thinking about Up the Beanstalk, we see it a lot in Modern, things of that nature. Can you tell me a little bit more about kind of like the implications of that card and what your feelings are about it?
Oh, God. I mean, so... the card in general is, like in a vacuum is like not super great, I think, right? But the fact that it replaces itself and now so many of these free spells, are like 5 or more mana, it's so great with any of the pitch elementals, leyline bindings and stuff like that. So, right now with like especially control decks that are playing cards like Solitude and leyline binding, I feel like there really isn't a good enough reason to not play the card.
Sure, yeah.
At the very least, it'll replace itself, right? And it's okay tapping out for it because you have a lot of free spells that also trigger Up the Beanstalk. So I do think that card is really good. In a vacuum, no. Like in limited, it seems like kind of meh. Yeah, like it'll come down, draw you a card, and it might draw you 1 or 2 more cards, But in constructed, when you can, build your deck around it, like he's got 2 Terminus in there.
Yeah,
so, yeah,
very true. And that's really great points there. But it's also so interesting to see that dichotomy versus like what we saw earlier in the day, which is people who are playing like turn 2 combo decks.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, yeah, tap out for my 2-mana enchantment that draws me a card, does not impact the board. Go.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, your Force of Wills turn into 1-for-1s, but at the same time, it's like we have seen some lightning fast decks. So I'm really interested to see, and potentially later talking to Nolan about what those 2 losses were across the day here, because I feel like it can go either way. But with that, looking at the sideboarding here, as we see these players going to it and shuffling up, I think we see Nolan taking out some Teferi Time Raveler, some Terminuses here and things of that nature, probably replacing them. with things, I would assume maybe Stony Silence, Humility probably looking pretty good here.
Humility's kind of weird though, because it doesn't stop like on cast triggers, right?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, so if you have a Humility in play, and if Max casts an Ulamog, they can just remove the Humility, right?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, like,
he's got to have the Ulamog.
That's got to be better than like so many of the cards in the set.
Sure, sure. And I mean, he is playing a Yorion deck, so he does just have so many cards in there. Seeing many of these one-ups may never even get there.
Yeah.
Probably bringing in something like Stony Silence. But probably more interesting here, talking about Max. He has options. So he has 4 Carpet of Flowers, probably hedging against something like Delver. But he also has access to Veil of Summers, to Endurances, to Force of Vigors, to Dismembers. You know, I could really see an argument for all of these cards, but what do you think stands out to you?
I mean, so like, you know what's funny about Carpet? It doesn't feel like Carpet is that great.
Yeah.
The only blue spell in Nolan's decks are like Force of Will, Ponder, Uro.
True. Yeah, he does have a reasonable play around
crazy. Yeah.
And also for Max, we saw what happened game 1. He was like, yeah, I have 20 mana, but I'm only drawing 1 card a turn.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and a lot of that credit goes back to that early 4th Aerlingus.
Yeah, I think so.
Just getting the Monarch and just being completely set up. You know, he's just drawing so many cards and so many answers. And if he needed to give Max 20 life through, like, plowing a Merit Leash or something like that, he probably still could have won.
Yeah, I think so. That was really, really impressive by Nolan. Yeah, I think, Max's draws felt a little not super great.
Sure.
Yeah, because the deck he's playing has 4 copies of the One Ring, right?
Let's see here.
Yeah, 4 copies of the One Ring.
4 copies of the One Ring. And 3 copies of Pithing Needle. Really respecting Wasteland this weekend.
Yeah, I've seen these decks run up to 4 because they just can't beat a Wasteland.
Yeah, makes sense. But do you bring in something like Force of Vigor against these?
That's really, really interesting. I mean, there's like Leyline Biting, but is that the only target?
Well, it might be. I don't know.
I mean, it's like the reason why Nolan won the first game, right?
Yeah. And if there was a position where Max could have gone, kill your Beanstalk, kill your Leyline Binding, get back my Ulamog, and now you're on potentially, I guess, a 2-turn clock.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty okay.
Yeah. Exiling those 20 cards, and with Nolan having drawn so many cards, it doesn't matter if he's a Yorion deck.
Yeah.
This Ulamog's coming. All right.
Yeah, I guess we're back.
We're back,
everybody.
Yeah, indeed. And it looks like the players have graciously waited for us to start here. Forest Elvish Reclaimer. Okay.
This hand looks a little bit faster than the last one.
Yeah. And having access to green mana is pretty huge here because we saw that Max died with those green cards in hand last turn, and even having to pitch an Elvish Spirit Guide just to be able to cast one of them, And Ponder here back from Nolan.
All right, Nolan. What are we thinking? I feel like, man, if I was Nolan, I would just I'd be like, oh my god, I'm gonna aggressively mulligan into a Delighted Halfling. Get something on the table here.
Right. And we see Nolan's hand. I believe I saw Basic Plains in Leyline Binding, so he has some interaction here. Looking further through it, I believe I see a Minskin Boo, potentially an Up the Beanstalk. Maybe Bayou there is the last card.
God, I'm really curious to see what Nolan brought in, too.
Right. Okay, doesn't like those top cards. Didn't look like they were very powerful to begin with, seeing a lot of basic lands here, knowing that his interaction point is Leyline Binding.
And it's interesting looking at Nolan's sideboard, too. I noticed he's got Elemental Blast, but no copies of Red Elemental Blast or Pyroblast.
There's 2 Pyroblast here.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, there is.
Hell yeah.
I was like, maybe he just doesn't want to fight on the stack. Although this is more of like a tap-out control deck anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Tap-out control, and then you're playing Solitude and Force of Wills for free, But we do see the namesake of the deck here.
Ooh, interesting.
So
it looks like Max actually had to play his Besiju. His Besiju is pretty good in this matchup. You can take Nolan off colors.
Yeah.
You can kill up the Beanstalk. You can kill Leyline Binding. So I wonder if Max has another land to play.
Yeah. Looking through that, and we do see that Comet Stellar Pup in hand.
Oh, baby.
Let's see that hit the battlefield ASAP, please.
Ooh, got greens and zings. He's got a lot of things that he can do here.
Yep.
Oh, another
Elvish Reclaimer, but no third land.
no attacks either.
Hmm.
Is it? Wait, Reclaimer's 2 mana to
Yes.
activate, right? Okay.
So maybe there's something like a crop rotation.
Mhm. Yeah.
At the same time here,
The halfling.
this is what we wanted to see, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, we got 3 1/2s on the table. This is legacy for ya.
Oh, and the ley line binding.
Okay.
Let's see, green, black, white. So,
Oh
this
my
is
god.
disgusting.
Yeah,
And blue.
Beanstalk.
Just
So
2.
good. Just a removal spell that draws you cards.
Yeah.
So good. It's like, I don't know, yeah, how could you not cast that there?
I don't know.
Yeah.
You get so far ahead. And
No.
again, seeing Max just kind of deploy these Elvish Reclaimers, I don't know. If I'm Nolan, I think I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
And interestingly, I think Max has. I see a crop rotation in
Yeah,
his
I do
hand.
too. Yeah, but like you need third land, right? You can't get rid of your forest. And Mix and Boo. Yeah.
Ugh, this is a tough position for Max to be in. He does have outs, but this Minx and Boo, specifically this Boo here, is going to start getting to work.
Okay, so what do you do here? Can you activate Reclaimer for anything? What do you get?
Interestingly, killing off the Cloud Post. So maybe
Is there
Caracas.
Oh, Crocus is good, yeah.
It is good, but it's more of a stopgap here.
Yeah, I was thinking what is that card that like Glacial Chasm?
Glacial Chasm, yeah.
Yeah, is that the one that prevents damage dealt to you?
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and let's see, Glacial Chasm would be pretty
It's
sick.
in the deck.
I don't think I see it, but
I don't think I see it either.
he does have a Tabernacle. Also interesting.
Oh, the most bad guy card of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody likes Tabernacle.
No. Shout out to all the lands players here. No one likes your Tabernacles. If you take them out of the deck,
These are facts.
Well, Nolan just hitting land drops.
Okay, so bouncing. Yeah.
Sure. And he has access to even like a hard cast Force of Will if he wants to do that. And he has a Humility in hand. Okay. Well, welcome.
Man, Humility. What do you think Humility is in there for?
It's good show and tell matchup. With
Sure. Oh, yeah, because you could just put it in with show and tell, right? Yeah.
Sure. Probably not good against like what we saw with Hans with his Hive Mind, but okay. Comet Stellar
baby.
Here we go.
All right, Planeswalker aggro deck.
Rolling the dice quite
4.
literally.
What does 4 do with?
Yes, so I have it pulled up right here. So reading through it, Comet Stellar Pup, 2 red white. You roll a 6-sided dice. It starts at 5 loyalty. 1 or 2. If you hit a 1 or 2, you +2, then create 2 1/1 green squirreled creature tokens. They gain haste until end of turn. 3, you -1, then return a card of mana value 2 or less from graveyard to your hand. 4 or 5, Stellar Pup deals damage equal to the number of loyalty counters on him to a creature or player, then -2. And if you roll a 6 +1, and you may activate Comet Stellar Pup's loyalty ability 2 more times this turn. So you're literally rolling the dice, but like all of those abilities when you're ahead are disgusting.
Yeah, Comet is such a funny card.
Yeah.
God, and Max needs to make another land drop here.
Yeah, super rough. I mean, and even thinking about that Green Sun Zenith, like, I wonder if he just had to go and get an Elvish Reclaimer or something like that just to put something else on the board here. But man, just a really awkward draw on his end.
Wait, what happened there? Were there squirrels that came? Oh no, it dealt damage. Did Comet deal damage?
I believe it -2 yet again, which is deal damage equal to the number of loyalty counters on him to a creature or player.
Okay, so you -2. So does that mean you take the loyalty counters off first because it's a cost, and then it deals damage with the remaining loyalty counters?
I believe you do the ability, then you -2 as it reads on the card.
Oh, right, because he doesn't have an actual plus. It's all just zeros.
Yeah.
It's 0 activation. Okay, yeah. Okay,
Got it. Exactly, and it specifically says on here, do the thing, then remove the loyalty.
Interesting.
So it definitely would be a lot worse. But also, Watsy's done stranger things.
Okay, Yorion to hand. It's something that I didn't think Nolan would ever have time for in this match.
Yeah, exactly. Just another crop rotation.
Yeah.
Oh, it feels so bad there.
So,
all right, Boo's back.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Backstreet. We're here.
What's Comet doing?
Okay, yet again, -2 is dead. Do you want to, Max? Okay.
Some Comet.
Yeah. Just think of the potential.
But that's that was Nolan's only source of pressure.
Yes.
This is not good.
So Max is going to have more time here, and Nolan doesn't look to have a lot of ways to accelerate through this. Oh, Brainstorm fixes all problems. Here
This
we
is
go.
a really funny game.
Yeah.
I know.
Okay, basically takes those cards that he sees off the Brainstorm immediately and puts them right back on top of the library, one including Mystic Sanctuary, which I imagine he's going to use. Yeah.
How do you win the game?
Yeah.
All right, Delighted Halfling, it's time.
Yeah. Hey, 11 turn clock.
Mhm.
I believe in the Halfling. Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes it casts spell, sometimes it turns sideways. Or,
Yeah.
well, all times it turns sideways. So
I guess then it's getting close to the point where you can just like cast Uro and then escape it as well.
Right.
Oh, the Yorion. I forgot about the Yorion.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Caracas. Jeez.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't really matter because if he just wants to Caracas
Mhm.
back that Yorion, that's basically just 5 mana, draw a card each turn, and then Yorion's going to come back, flicker the things, he's going to get another draw, so draw 2 cards each turn, and I can't imagine Max is incentivized to put that back to his hand. Once upon a time.
Yeah.
Oh, he just passes. Interesting. Well, I guess
He can't tap the Caracas for mana.
that's true, yeah, because he's just going to take a huge hit if he
Yeah.
does so. Really tough spot for Max.
Oh my gosh.
The pressure.
All right. The Halfling Red Zone.
And he puts the Yorion back in hand.
Okay.
Ugh. Tough place to be.
All right, so no activations with Minsc and Boo just yet.
Mhm.
And Minsc and Boo does not have an ultimate, right?
Minsc and Boo.
Yeah, I believe it's just the 2 abilities of put counters on and throw hamster.
Yep, you are
Okay.
correct here. You do get to throw the hamster, which sometimes is like an ultimate, because sometimes you just get to
I
do
know,
4, draw 4.
Or yeah, that's
Yeah.
insane.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And you could do it after you attack with the Boo, so, deal 8, not a bad thing. All right, and he's sacrificing the token. Deal 1, draw a card.
All right, go Boo.
And a Wasteland to boot. Oh my god.
With life and low? Oh gosh. This seals the deal, right? I don't. There's no way Max.
There's just no way. I mean, he does have the life from the loam. Looking, yeah.
Some discrepancy here. Oh, maybe crop rot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he might have just missed that and might have gone a little too
Yeah.
quickly here. That probably was his only out in some ways, unfortunately.
Mhm.
As
Yeah,
we see.
This is.
All right, things flickered coming back in on end step. Another Boo token. The whole kit and caboodle.
Holy. I think no one's gonna walk away with this game.
Yep. Discarding your own to hand size. Yep. And was it a land?
man.
Yeah.
Oh,
Takes the
jeez.
hands. Man,
Yeah, that was rough.
that was rough. It was such a brutal draws from
Mhm.
Max. And, just even thinking about both games here, game 1 and 2, he was in a position in game 1. Well, obviously, we saw him just put down huge threat onto the table. And we're like, all right, I believe what they say.
Yeah.
And then Nolan claws back in and then sets himself up for this position to make Max have something good going here in this game too. And Max just couldn't find it. Unfortunately, the deck not really treating him so well.
So
Yeah.
Veil Summers. What in the heck? What is that?
Those are
Phyrexian
dismembers.
cards? Those are dismembers. Oh, I have never seen that dismember art.
Yeah. I've thought about purchasing it, but you can't. It's in Phyrexian, so kind of
Well,
weird.
that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a very Phyrexian like thematic card.
Yeah.
You pay life to kill something.
100%.
Yeah.
Just dismember them.
Yeah.
Interesting to see. He brought in 2 dismember. He had access to 3, and then he had access to 2 Veil of Summers. Brought in both of them.
Mhm.
So no Force of Vigor, no Endurance, no Carpet of Flowers. I mean, Carpet of Flowers would make it that game.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Yeah, it's weird. Nolan, I think, had a decent amount of blue lands, but the deck doesn't actually play that many islands specifically, right?
Sure. Well,
oh, actually, no, it does.
we got Underground Sea, Tropical Island, Volcanic Island, Tundra, 3 Tundras specifically. There is a lot of blue sources in here.
Yeah, you're playing Uro, and you want to you don't just play Uro for the front side. You got
Sure.
Yeah. So
Yeah, Exploration. Sick.
cool.
And also something like Mystic Sanctuary,
Yeah, you need. Dear God, this deck is playing a Mystic Sanctuary.
Yeah.
It's like the greediest pile I've ever seen.
Yeah, again, I'm wondering what he lost to today, and if it was something that goes fast or his other combo decks, I would not be surprised.
Yep.
But we'll look to get Nolan here on the mic in just a little bit. But with that, interesting matchup. again, I really thought we were going to be at the point where Max was just slamming down haymakers, but unfortunately things just went a little not his way here.
He slammed exactly one, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And he had so much mana. He literally got the Dark Depths token onto the battlefield.
Yeah, by paying for the Ice Age counters. Or
Yeah.
ice counters? I can't remember.
Yeah.
I don't even know what they are because they don't matter.
Yeah, exactly. I barely ever see people put the dice on the card. So,
Yeah, like Crutch just puts the rock on there.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, I'll get it when I get it. Yeah. But with that, we'll be back with Nolan in the booth in just a moment here. All right, we are back here with Nolan Zoller here in the booth. Man, that was a really interesting game one.
Game one, yeah. Game one felt like there was some back and forth. There was a comeback kind of in the game. He got that early Ulamog, which was, I thought, game over.
Yeah,
we did
so
too.
did I.
Yeah.
But, you know, in the feature match, you claw for those percentage points. You
Exactly.
do what you can. And I lost 20 cards off my library, blocked, kept the Monarch, and got back into it.
Yeah. Well, I think you took like the land that you needed to. You go down to one land and you're like, okay, I need to block this, I need to get this, and then you get to the point where you're fourth Aerlingus, so you're drawing 2 cards a turn.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and just being in that position, I think that was in some ways what decided that game.
Yeah.
You know, is there something else that was afforded to you there in that moment, or what were you thinking?
I mean, I'd be lying if I said I didn't get incredibly lucky.
Sure.
So I think that was a big part of it, is that, you know, Max on that game won, even though it was a powerful start, had no green mana.
Yeah.
And I believe he told me at the end he had 2 Primeval Titans left in his hand.
Yes.
And those cards at any point, immediately following up the Ulamog, you know, if he had some green sources available to him, would have been crushing. I don't think I actually could have come back.
Snap, force that crop rotation. Yeah, it's definitely going to get Yavi Mayo and just lose you the game.
Yeah, I was almost certainly dead to that crop rotation.
Yeah, 100%.
So it was important that I, you know, tried to keep him off of green as much as I could, and I saw that, which was good. But luck was definitely on my side there.
Yeah, definitely. And just thinking about how that game played out, you know, you had a lot of really interesting decision points. Obviously, at some point, it was just like, okay, I'm drawing cards. Like, what are we doing here? I counter anything that you do. I can interact with anything you do, whatever. But just leading up to that point, seeing him have 20 mana, I think it was, on the other side of the battlefield, you know, what was going through your mind as to the game plan that you needed to build up to?
It was mostly hoping, right? So,
I mean, what else are you supposed to do?
you see the Ulamog stuck stick, and I'm like, okay, well, have the Monarch. I've gotten the 4th Aerolingus. I'm going to be drawing some cards. I might be able to find my second copy. That's my only way of closing out this game quickly. If I find the second copy of that card, I can't let him gain that much life.
Sure.
And so, in answering the rest of his threats, which was the Ulamog first, and then the Merit Lage second, I couldn't use Swords to Plowshares, or he'd be out of range. I'd give him too much time. I couldn't use Solitude, or give him too much time. And so I had to consider what removal I was using in that way, and just kind of hope he didn't either get multiple green sources for those prime times, or get a Eye of Ugin, because that card as well might have been backbreaking.
Definitely. Yeah, I didn't think about that. That was really just, I think, a heads-up play, knowing the limitations of your deck to say, I can't give you 20 life. I need to use this. Well, also, at the end of the day, if you're Leyline Binding, drawing a card, so it probably feels good nonetheless.
It does feel good.
Yeah,
It does feel good.
But putting your opponent in a way better range, because once you got your 4th Aerolingus on the board again, you were just like, you're going to die.
That's the thought. When you're swinging in for 10 out of nowhere,
right?
With haste, that's a quick clock.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah. And you know, thinking about your record here now, advancing to 4-2, those 2 losses that you had today, you know, we saw a lot of different decks here, a lot of combo decks and things of that nature. And just looking at your list, it's something that, like, it sort of disrespects a lot of, like, the super fast and even some of the tempo decks that are going on here. Can you tell us a little bit about your losses today?
So my first loss, I lost round 1 to a matchup that's generally, I believe, considered good, which was the blue-black scam deck. They spend a lot of their resources trying to kind of set you off balance, tempo you out. I'm really good at recouping resources. And so that one I ended up losing that match in kind of a it was like a nickel and dime, you know, every answer was appropriately timed for my opponent, and I lost. I ended up playing it again, same deck, different player later in the event, and winning. But that was my first loss. And then the last one was to Amy last round on a artifact up the Beanstalk deck.
Interesting.
It's like
Okay.
8 cast beans.
Yeah, she called it 8 beans or Beancast, one or the other.
I like that. Yeah. That's a lot of cards you're drawing right there.
Yeah.
And my sideboard does have a good amount of dedicated stuff for that matchup. I've got
pretty good.
Yeah, I've got 2 meltdowns. I've got a Stony Silence. I've got some Pyroblasts that are all going to be pretty good in that matchup.
Yeah.
And in game 2, I lost game 1 handily very quickly. She just kind of did her thing, and I died.
Fair.
But in game 2, I kept a hand with Basic Plains, Plateau, Stony Silence. And she had mulliganed. And so I was like, all right, this might be pretty solid. She plays 3 baubles, passes. I'm like, all right, here's the Stony Silence. She's like, I guess I'm going to crack these baubles, go down to Just an Urza Saga and play, and we'll see what happens. And then she untapped, and on her turn 2 played a Patchwork Automaton.
Oh.
Which very quickly grew to kill me. And I couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
So those were my losses today. It was just things that I thought were good matchups that I just couldn't eke out, which was surprising. And then, given that I played my worst matchup probably in the room this round.
Easy peasy.
Yeah. Well, it was really so interesting to see, and up the Beanstalk as a card here in Legacy is people are still trying to figure out exactly what we're going to be doing with it. I think the 4-color shell is just a shoo-in for doing something like that because again, it's something like rip Terminus off the top, draw a card.
Yeah,
it's just like you can't beat that. But thinking about this list specifically, and even thinking about that like 8 cast beans list and that sort of stuff, you are looking at this list. Is this something that you put together that you found online? No, what is kind of the way that you got here?
So I built this deck last night, and the way I kind of put it together is there are some core cards, there's some fundamental cards in the colors that I was intending on playing that you can't go without. 4 Brainstorm, 4 Ponder, 4 Source to Plowshares, cards like that, 4 Force of Will, and then you start to kind of build your deck after that, right? So I've got my Ponders, Brainstorms, Beanstalks that left me with maybe I think it was right around 16 cards flex slots. And I just kind of filled it in from there. So I played a couple cards that I just wanted to play, being Comet, Stellar Pup.
The one I see in this list came up in both games.
Everything needled. Came up in both games. That card has been it's been like sticking to my hand like no other. I can't seem to get rid of it.
Okay.
I don't know if you saw in game 2, I actually put it on the bottom of my mulligan.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
And then drew it off the Ponder. Comet loves me. He's a good boy.
Good boy.
Minskin Boo, I think, is a very powerful threat. Both these 4-mana Planeswalkers being able to be accelerated uncounterably out by Delighted Halfling makes them, I think, very strong. So I intended it on... Oh!
We have very good news, actually, that's come in here from Mr. Nolan. From the booth, we hear that pairings are up, and Nolan has snuck in to the top 8.
I am incredibly surprised, but I'm delighted.
What happened to Ash and Amy's game then?
I believe they talked to me on the way in, and what was it? Amy lost the pair down, and so that left there with one less person of a higher record with me, which I think opens up the slot for me.
Yeah.
So just absolutely perfect outcome for me. I had to win this very difficult matchup, and I needed somebody who I had lost to also lose.
Wow. That's incredible. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Hell of a way to learn about it, I suppose, just being here. Yeah. Well, with that, is there anything that you would like to say to the folks at home?
Hi, Chloe. I hope you're watching. Love you very much. I hope my luck continues, I suppose. That's where I'm at.
We do too. Awesome. Well, thank you very much for joining us here, Nolan, and we'll see you in the top 8.
Yeah, thank you.